Yo, what is going on, gang? It is your coach Brian here, and welcome to my 20-minute full body build. Now, we're calling this class the drop down on account of the fact that we're going to be starting all of our circuits standing, and then we're going to be dropping it down to the ground for some floor exercises as well. But before we get started with any of the specifics, the nitty gritty, we're going to begin this workout with a healthy warm-up. So squad, do me a favor, meet me in tabletop position, shoulders stacked over the wrists, hips over the knees, and we're going to begin with some hip circles. So I want you to draw as big of a circle as possible, starting off with that left leg, and we're going to go for 5. 5 going forward, and then we're going to switch to the other side, 5 going forward. After we finish our 5 reps on this side, we'll repeat the left side, but this time we'll be going backwards, all right? So big circles, opening up the hips. This is going to help us increase our range of motion at the hip when we get into our squats, all right? So we're gonna be starting this off with some squats, and then we'll take it down to the floor for some hip bridges, some weighted hip bridges. But before we get started with our weighted hip bridges, I want us to go through some body weight hip bridges just so that we can get familiar, okay, comfortable with the range of motion, know what to activate and what to work once we actually add load. So meet me in a sit-up position, okay? From here, hands are gonna be off to the side. We're gonna drive the hips up, and I want you to hold for 3, 2, 1. Slowly bring the hips back down to the floor. Reconnect with the mat. Exhale, drive the hips up. Engage the glutes. So we're actively squeezing butt cheeks together here. Slow and controlled on the way down. Working stabilizer muscles as we go. Exhale, last one. Let out all that air. Core is engaged, it's braced, it's activated, it's working. Glutes are engaged as well. You should feel those hamstrings starting to flex up as well here too. Take your time on the way down. 3, 2, and 1. Release. Pull the knees to the chest. Forehead towards the knees. Oh, curl yourself up into a nice little ball. Relax, release, and let's go ahead and talk about what we have going on today for this workout, gang. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna start with 2 exercises, okay? The first one is going to be the dumbbell squat. We're gonna have 10 reps, and we're gonna be focusing on getting our range of motion. That's why we did those hip circles. Then we'll go down to the floor, working those dumbbell hip bridges. Now, the weight that you have selected for this dumbbell goblet squat should feel heavy for the dumbbell goblet squat, all right? So you're only gonna need 1 weight for this first round, but when we go into our other exercises, you will need 2 dumbbells, all right? But for this one, the dumbbell goblet squat and that dumbbell hip bridge, we're only working with 1 weight. So 10 reps, 30 seconds. I'll give you 20 seconds to set your weights down, transition to the floor, reapply the weights to our hips, and then we'll go into our hip bridges, all right? So feet just about hip and shoulder width apart, head and chest is up, keep the weight close to the body, team, engage the core, bring them smiles, and let's sit those hips back. So as we're taking our time on the way down, we're thinking about pushing the knees away from each other, okay? A lot of times as people perform their squat, especially as they get into the 8th to 10th to maybe 12th rep, depending on how many you're shooting for, you notice that the knees start to cave in a little bit. That's a big no-no, all right? Push the knees away, especially as you come up. Safely set the weight down. Make your way into that sit-up position. Once again, reapply. Let me get this out the way here. Reapply the weight. You got time still. Now, team, I want you to focus on relaxing the head here. As we start our set, drive the hips up, but rest the head comfortably on the mat. A lot of times I'll see people doing the hip bridge, and they'll protrude the head forward, straining the neck instead of just relaxing. Being in a comfortable position and taking it slow. Drive up. We've added load, but we're still looking for that healthy glute squeeze at the top. All right? So you got about 50 seconds here to rest, recover, get a quick swig. Do what you got to do before we go into our next set. Now, team, moving forward, we do have 3 total sets within this first circuit. So we just did our first one. I want you to use this as an opportunity to think about what you can do, what needs to maybe change in order for us to really get the most out of these 2 exercises, these 2 movements, okay? Is that maybe pausing and adding a little bit more weight because it's too light? Maybe that was a solid warm-up set. Or maybe we need to go a little bit slower and sacrifice a couple reps. Maybe we go for 8 here. Stand up, going back into our dumbbell goblet squat. Sit it down, drive it up with speed, drive it up with power. Be explosive, okay? We're training like athletes. I'm a firm believer in that everybody is an athlete. And these are the type of things that we need to do, the way we need to move in order to train like athletes. Athletes are explosive, okay? So also from the standpoint of hypertrophy, gaining muscle, which is what these build classes are all about, you need to be patient. You need to be taking your time, especially on that eccentric portion of the lift as we drop the hips down, all right? Grab those dumbbells. Same thing here, driving the hips up with power and speed, controlling that waist as you bring it back to the mat. Now, little subtle adjustment, squad, like pulling the heels closer to the glutes, are going to enable us to increase that range of motion. The further away the legs are from the glutes, the less range of motion you're gonna get. You see the difference there? Very limited range of motion as opposed to me coming here and getting more air time as far as the hips coming off the ground, all right? So now I'm done cueing. I've given you everything that you need to know to be successful. You have one more set here, squad. One more set. What needs to change? What needs to shift within this last set in order for us to be uber successful? All right? And maybe it's a mindset thing. You know, maybe it's a mindset shift. A lot of times we as humans, as people who lift weights, we don't push ourselves enough. And I see it all the time. A lot of people never reach their full capacity or capabilities. Let's get started with these last sets here, because they're simply afraid of just lifting heavy. Or, you know, I always hear the excuse, especially when it comes to females, like, oh, if the heavier I lift, I don't want to get like too shredded, too jacked. And it's like one of those things where I promise you, you lift heavy once, maybe a couple times out of the week, you're not gonna get shredded. And also trust that you're gonna start to see, it's not gonna happen in like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or anything like that. You see like these bodybuilders, these people will train this way with heavy weights for years on top of years to look the way that they look. So trust me when I say you lifting heavy a couple times out the week, you're not gonna get shredded to the point like hip bridges, drive the hips up. I'm gonna say like disgustingly shredded, all right? Like you guys know what I mean. Like I consider myself shredded, but there's the times where you just see the veins and everything and just all that stuff. It's just like, yeah, that person. And you know, they're shredded. They're shredded. I love it. I love that for them. But it's not gonna happen overnight, team. All right? It's not going to happen overnight. So don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of challenging yourself. Don't be afraid of pushing your body. Our bodies are created to adapt. All right? Literally, they're intended to adapt, and they're only going to adapt to the stimuluses that we give them. So if you're not really pushing yourself, you're not really, wondering why you're seeing the results, maybe try a little bit heavier weight, okay? Moving forward, team, we're going to go into our upper body circuit. We have 3 exercises for this one. We will need to change up the weights here. We're going to start off with dumbbell shoulder presses. Once again, 10 reps, 30 seconds, and then we'll take a knee or make our way down for the kneeling overhead tricep extensions. I'm a hand talker. And then we'll finish off with plank shoulder taps, all right? So I'm adjusting my weight here. It should feel heavy for those shoulder presses. Just gonna set these bad boys off to the side. Bada boom, bada bing, bing, bop, boom, bop. Reapply the clips. Make sure that's Gucci. I got my heavy weight set up here. Now, my main focus as I'm doing the shoulder presses is to keep the elbows slightly in front of the chest here. So this way, at the top, you don't run the risk of the arms going back behind you, all right? Safety first, team. You got 10 reps of the shoulder presses. Let's get to work. Big exhale as we press up. Big inhale as we lower. Keep the core engaged. Take a little bit wider stance here. I want a solid foundation. It always starts, team. The foundation starts with the feet, okay? So we got hip and shoulder width. The feet, hip and shoulder width are just about. And we're controlling that weight on the way down. Okay. Now, team, couple options. We can either go with knees here. It's going to be reliant more on the core stability as we do our tricep extension. If you need a little bit more assistance, we go from this runner lunge position here, and then we press the weight up, all right? So to each his own, play with it. If you want a 2-for-1, you want a little bit more, you want to feel a little bit more of that core activation, take that first option. And we're going to have a couple sets here, so feel free to play with it, all right? Play with it. Try one out. If it doesn't suit you, if it's not your cup of tea, switch it up, all right? It's all good. It's all good. It's all a part of the learning experience. Now, meet me in high plank, shoulders over the wrist, wide base of support at the feet here, okay? Glutes are engaged, core is engaged, and then we're going to go into our shoulder taps by simply bringing one hand to the opposite shoulder. So everything is stable. Notice my hips, they're not rocking, okay? I'm keeping everything braced to make sure that that doesn't happen. Breathe through it, take your time, and rep it out. Nice. And I forgot to mention, okay, always an option, team, always an option to perform your shoulder taps from the knees, okay? Just like this. Now, if we take this option, we're not here. And you can even do this along with me right now as we wait for the next set to start. Notice how there's literally no core activation here, okay? We're solely relying on the knee bone and the hips to support us. However, you bring the hips in by engaging the glutes and automatically the core fires up. So if you are going to take that option, make sure that you are bringing the hips towards the floor with you, all right? Back into these shoulder presses. Exhale. Let's go. Starts with that solid foundation at the feet, at the ankle joints. Explode up like an athlete. Take your time. Controlling the weight on the eccentric. There you go. Shoulders burning, shoulders feeling it. Got our struggle faces on. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You get that grimacing look, that ooh, ooh, yeah, that one. You get that, you're in the right place. Let's go, exhale. Back into these tricep extensions. We got 10 reps. Nothing too crazy, all right? Guess what? Second to last exercise of class. And then we get to cool it down. We get to cool it down and we get to move on with the rest of our day. Triceps feeling it too here. And that's what I'm talking about, squad. That's what I'm talking about. You know what? If you feel it because that junk is heavy, right? Yeah, it's heavy. Triceps on point, yeah. Plank, shoulder taps. We're on the clock. We're moving. What's not moving though? I'll give you a second, all right? What's not moving or what shouldn't be moving as we go through our reps? If you answered hips, that is 100% correct. The only thing that really should be moving here, team, is those arms. That's right. Give me one up top. I know this was very short-lived, but I'll tell you what, I had a blast. I had a blast kicking it with y'all for these last 20 minutes, and now we done made it to the best part of class, in my opinion, and that is the cool down, all right? So let's go ahead and start with the shoulders. Meet me here, almost as if you're gonna get back into that tricep extension. Solid foundation, solid base of support at the lower body. We're gonna grab one arm, okay? So left elbow directly underneath my right, and then I'm pulling my right arm across my body here. Nice, healthy cross body stretch. You're gonna feel this all throughout the delts. Keep that head and chest up. Big exhales, breathe. And as we breathe out, I want you to see if you can't pull that arm a little closer to the body, all right? Very regenerative, regeneration. We trying to regenerate the breath. Yeah, all right? Sometimes, I was never one of them kids that was ever like a spelling bee type of guy, I was more the class clown, and that's why you guys enjoy my classes, because, I'm a talk that talk to you, and it's not always gonna make sense, all right? I know that, and that's okay. That's okay. Not everything in life makes sense, but you know what I do? I put that smile on your face, don't I? Yeah, I know that. I know that's what I do. All right. But it is gonna bug me because I want to say it's like regenerative, and that's really gonna bug me. And these are the problems that I be having. All right, let's go ahead and switch it up. We got the triceps real quick. Gonna take one arm, bring it overhead, pull down with the opposite hand. Ooh, yeah. Nice. And team, if there's one thing you took away from this class, all right, let it be this. Switch arms. You have to push yourself. Obviously, you're in these classes because you want to up-level your life, you want to up-level your body, you want to take your body to the next level. And the only way to do that, team, is to show up every day and push yourself a little bit differently, okay? That's it. That's the key to life. That's the key to growth. Pushing yourself every single day, all right? We're built to adapt. Fantastic work. Great job today. As always, squad, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your health and wellness journey. I'm your coach, Brian, and I will catch you in the next one. Don't forget to put away them weights.